which we need rest, right? The good news is that it is a reasonable expectation. Psalm 20 acknowledges it with the opening line of this psalm. It says, "May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." Now, I don't know where you are at this point in time, but right now I know where I am, and I can certainly use some assurance right now. Just making any plans outside of daily routines seem to come with so many other considerations and complications. Even trying to care for others in meaningful ways comes with such conflict I've never experienced, and seems to create a soul deep sense of restlessness that seems to threaten to permeate everything in life. You having any similar experiences? I think it must have been what the king was facing, who was the subject of the psalm when it was originally written. Some suggest that it was written when the king sent representatives to a neighboring kingdom with condolences in the wake of the death of its reigning monarch. After his ambassadors were received, harshly mistreated, shamed, and sent home, the king sought to defend their honor, but was faced with an overwhelming display of force and aggression. It had to be a situation ripe with confusion, chaos, and threatening conflict. But it's at that point, in the opening of this psalm, that I find some great comfort. Notice how it opens. May the Lord answer you when you're in distress. The idea here is that calling on the Lord was an obvious conclusion. It was a foregone conclusion. The king would have not been relying on his own military expertise, strategy, or strength, but as a matter of first priority, would have been calling on the Lord himself. I think that's instructive. In these times that seem so uncertain, when governmental agendas have anything but the welfare of common people in mind, when the declining morality around us ultimately results in legislation seeking to indoctrinate our children in sexual education and remove them out from under the authority of their parents, and being faced with public health concerns that threaten the lives of the most vulnerable among us, it seems many times as if we are really outnumbered and outgunned. But that's where our hope appears the brightest, my friends. It's in the second line of this opening to the psalm that we find these words: "May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." Now, we might think that this is referring to some incantation, as if it just saying a name that might hold magical power. But in the culture of the day, a name could not be disassociated with the person and the attendant realities or nature of that person. So what about this God of Jacob would have offered protection? Last week, a friend and I were discussing this very title and reasoning together that the title God of Jacob is comforting because it means God is a God of a people who are simply a mess. The biblical character of Jacob was a mess. He was self-centered, self-serving, conniving, lying, and mischievous. But he was loved by God. That made all the difference. He was a person who was both answered and protected by God when it seemed unreasonable because of his own character and circumstances. And this is the Lord our God in whom we trust. So where does that leave us? Well, I want to leave you with this today. Would you consider joining me over the next several days and calling on the name of the Lord, calling on the Lord himself, instead of watching and reading the world and regional news? Seek him in relationship to his will in these times of distress and in the questions and confusion we're in, and ask him how to follow him through these times of growing distress. Well, these are indeed some difficult times, and it's going to become even more difficult to be known as disciples of Jesus, I'm afraid. But there is plenty of rest for those who seek to follow him, because he is our refuge and strength in time of trouble. Let's run to him together. God bless you guys.